Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Tea. I am just stepping out of my house. I just got back from working with the stallions down at the other barn. And so I've got my tea in hand. And I thought we'd go out and visit with Myrna and Cleo. So I'm a little less organized than usual. Usually I'm all set up with the horses by the time tea time comes around. But it's been quite a week, juggling different locations and coming back and forth between the horses at my house and the horses that are a mile down the road at the pastures. So the good news is the stallions are settling in beautifully, and I really couldn't ask for it to be any more smooth or graceful than it has been. But today, I thought I would talk a little bit about the work involved in that. It's been a big week for me. And I realized that, when you train with tools, you don't necessarily do as much preparatory work as when you train without tools. And that's a really big part of this. So, here is Cleo. Myrna's on the other side. And these are horses who have done a lot of work with me. And the preparatory work we've done pays off in really big ways all the time. And when I have a really big event like moving the stallions to the pastures, I find that I'm overwhelmed by how much work it is. Hi, Myrna. To get horses ready for change when you really want to set them up for success and not just do things that suit us people, but really do things in a way that suit the horses too. And that's important to me. Is it worth the time and the effort? I think about this all the time, and I keep coming up with the answer of yes, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth the time and the effort it takes. But it is significant. If you can just put a halter on a horse and tell them where to go, and they never question you, and they always say yes, it takes less time. If you are working to help horses think for themselves and reason and be logical, good partners, it takes more time to develop a relationship with a partner who has an opinion of their own, to allow horses an opinion of their own. Myrna would like my tea right now. She thinks it smells pretty good. So to allow a horse an opinion takes more time than if you were to train and not allow them an opinion. Is it worth it? Is it worth the time that we have to invest when we give them a say in this relationship? And I think it is worth it. But it is significant. So, hi Hannah, thanks for joining us for tea. So right now, my mares are eating in their hay hut. I'll give you a little view here inside. Myrna won't mind us joining her. Hi, Myrna. Okay, maybe she does mind. And Cleo's here. We set things up for the horses to be as healthy as possible. And that's a really good thing. But people always, they present the question to me. The horse training methods we've used for a very, very long time, are those not good enough? And they are. They are good enough for a lot of people. I love that. They're itching shoulders behind me. They are such good friends, these two. So one of the reasons I think it's worth taking the extra time to train horses in a way where they have an opinion, they have a vote, they get to be part of the relationship, not just told what to do, but actually collaborate with you to create that relationship and the things that you're going to do together. When you practice stuff like that, they get better at it. Now, stuff like this where horses are itching shoulders, for some horses that's very normal, very natural. They grew up with good parents, they had good things presented to them in the herd. They know how to groom each other, they know how to work with each other, and that's great. I want them to know how to work with people in ways that is mutually beneficial for people and horses, just like they can work with each other for horses and horses. Hi, Myrna. And as you see, you know, when you give them a voice and a choice, and you show them how great it is to be in partnership with people, they want to opt in, they want to do it with you. But it is more work. So many training systems depend on us telling the horses what to do. And hopefully we tell them the right things to do. The horse feels good after doing what we've told them to do. And their life is good with the parameters and the boundaries that we set them. You know, for me, that's not enough. I want more from my relationships with horses. And so I put a lot more work in. And the work that I put in with horses is about teaching them to self-soothe. It's about teaching them to manage their own emotions. It's about teaching them to reach out and connect with both horses and humans in a way where horses learn to lower their own stress instead of depending on another horse or a human to tell them what to do to feel better. And this is a lot of work, okay? It is easier to train a horse if you always tell them what to do and you don't ask them to figure it out themselves. The reason this came up is because, you know, as you see, my mares here are behind me. They're eating out of the hay hut. We did a switch. The stallions moved down to the big pastures. The mares moved up here. This way I can limit the food the mares are getting because you see they're rather round and they need a little bit of diet time. So we have their hay in a very tight net there. Makes them slow down a little bit. The stallions are out on great big pastures. But to do this switch, I had to invest a lot of time in with the stallions, really making sure they were in an emotionally stable place for the move, okay? And that meant taking a couple of weeks in my case and not doing anything that was going to take money out of our relationship bank. It was only going to put money in our relationship bank. For those of you who haven't seen it, I have a webinar up on YouTube about this theory of the relationship bank account. It's really helpful. If you know you have some sort of a big event coming up where there's going to be some stress, a move of living space is going to involve some stress. Now, I've done so much work with Myrna here and Cleo that the small amount of stress of moving locations from one place to another is not going to impact them. They have really good self-soothing mechanisms. They're really, really good at adapting and adjusting. So I didn't have to do any work with them. They've got that covered. The stallions I haven't had for so long. And so because I haven't had the stallions for so long, I had to make sure that I invested in the relationship enough that there was currency for us to spend. So that when we arrive at the new place and everything's different and everything's new and the neighbors' horses are calling across the valley and there's all of these stressors involved, it's really important that the stallions can look to me and say, you know, I trust you. What should I do? Or I trust you. Am I going to be okay? And so I invested weeks and weeks and weeks of really careful preparation before that move so that I knew that the stallions were going to be able to trust me in that transition time. Oh, thank you, Florentine. Yes, there's the link for the webinar about the relationship bank account. This is really, really helpful. So Myrna and I, we've got a pretty full bank account. We've spent years investing in this relationship between us. And so, you know, she's a character. She has a lot of opinions, a lot of ideas, but they're generally ideas that I'm interested in too, that we can talk about, that we can share, that we can play with. You know, when we go out on the trail, she will often suggest, you know, the trail to the left could be really fun. Don't you want to try it? And she's very flexible. So, you know, if I say, no, we can't do the trail to the left today, she's pretty good at adapting, but she is going to offer. I have trained Myrna to have an opinion, to have a voice, to have a whole lot of personality that goes into this relationship. It's not easier. Okay, it is easier to train a horse that they should not talk back, that they should only do as they're told. It's easier to use the tools where you don't have to invest so heavily in teaching horses to self-soothe. When I don't have a halter, when I don't have a bridle, when I don't have the things that people normally have with horses, what that means is I can't help manage when the horse's feelings become overwhelming. So if a horse's feelings become overwhelming and they want to go to flight and run, if I have a halter on, I can help manage that feeling. I can stop the horse from running away. And if I can manage that feeling for them, I can keep them safe in a stressful situation or in a new place. If I don't have a halter and the horse starts to feel overwhelmed and they want to go to flight, they need a lot more skill to manage their emotions. If they can manage their emotions, then they don't need that halter and that lead rope to help them manage it. And so freedom-based training it's a training system about developing skills for the horses, and specifically skills in helping them learn how to lower their own stress. So if they are in a stressful situation, they don't need my help as much. I'm certainly going to be there. I'm going to have invested in that relationship bank account. I'm going to put myself in a position where they trust me. But when they start to feel stressed, they are going to need their own resources to calm themselves down, because I don't have a halter and a rope to do it for them. In a lot of cases, I don't have a round pen to contain them, or you know, any of those things. Or the big one that people don't really think about is the pocket full of food rewards. Okay, so when you have a pocket full of food rewards, that means you can withhold them. You can opt to not give the horse the next carrot or the next cookie. And the horse knows this. When they know that you can withhold the food reward, that is a thing that helps them manage their emotions. They start thinking, I feel overwhelmed. I think I might want to run away. I might want to go to flight. But if I go to flight, I'm not going to get the next carrot or the next cookie that my person might give me. And so food rewards is another way to help the horse manage their emotions. There goes Cleo. So we're going to go ahead and take a little walk with Cleo here and Myrna, and I can talk to you. We're walking in the direction of the Wi-Fi, so I can join them. This paddock's kind of big, so I was hoping they would stick around and not go too far out. When we work without tools, there's a lot more time that we have to invest in setting the horse up for success. And if you're going to do a big move of location, or you're going to take the horse somewhere where you know their stress levels are going to go up, you have to invest a lot more heavily in the relationship bank account. You have to invest in your horse's ability to self-soothe, to lower their stress, to manage how they feel. Cleo, coming up behind me, she's pretty good at this. You know, I don't have to invest a whole lot now because I have for years and years. We have a lot in our relationship bank account. The same with Myrna. The stallions, I got a lot more work to do. It's going to take me some time. So when something like a big move happens, it's hours and hours and hours of being very conscious of the choices I make around them. And the choices I make around them are going to make it more likely or less likely. Hi, Myrna. Myrna's taking a drink. That they can self-soothe. I love watching Myrna drink because Cleo's going to come join us too. They are big fans of water, these two. Any Mustang that's lived out on the range with limited access to water has an appreciation that's very different from most horses. So those are my thoughts for today. You know, the less tools you're going to use, whether that's food rewards or halters or ropes, the more time you have to invest in making sure the horses know how to manage their own emotions. And that takes time. That's not something you can develop overnight. It's something you develop over hours and hours and hours. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. Thank you guys for joining me for tea. Joe says, could you tell us a bit more about how you help your horses learn to self-soothe and lower their stress? Yes. I'm going to have to make it very general. It's a big study, but generally speaking, there are small moments of thinking and the kind of thinking, yielding, playing actions that horses do to lower their stress. And what we do is we reinforce those. So every time we see the horse taking actions that are good self-care actions, we reinforce those. And when we see the horse's stress starting to go up and they are starting to get more stressed instead of less, then we have to make sure and take some sort of an action so that we know that we are not supporting or reinforcing them being unhealthy emotionally. And so it's all about our responses to the actions that happen naturally. Okay, so right now Myrna's drinking water. This is a really good self-care, healthy thing that she's doing. This is a really good time for me to be in harmony with her. Okay, I'm just being here, being peaceful. She's doing something that's very good for her. So anytime I see things that they're doing that are very, very healthy, I make sure to be like the horse. And horses have a really natural instinct to want to be like their herd mates. Yeah, Florentine, it does. It takes time. It is worth it. And when we are spending time with them, we're very, very definitive about helping them see when they have good self-care habits, we match them. And when they start to have bad self-care habits, we don't match them. We make sure that we are not in harmony with them. And horses are pattern learners. They are always creating patterns. And so they see the pattern of when we're with them and when they're not. Now, I'm going to put my tea down here for a second because here's another one. So you can see here, Myrna and Cleo, I don't know if you can see their front feet and their back feet. Very similar. They're lined up with each other. This sort of matching behavior between them. Cleo's chewing on the feed pan. They're matching and mirroring each other. And that matching and mirroring behavior is something that makes horses feel better. It lowers their stress. If you see horses that match and mirror each other all the time, it's generally a horse that's easier to be around than a horse that doesn't match and mirror. So we look for little behaviors like this, and there's a whole long list of the kinds of things that we can reward in small ways. If we reward the small things, they turn into bigger things. And over time, there's Myrna and Cleo, they become more and more stable, steady, really responsible companions. So thank you guys for joining us for tea. And If you are interested in learning more, I do post update videos every week on Patreon, and I'd love to have you be part of the group. And my online course happens 4 times a year. And you know, it's fun study. It is the slowest possible way to train a horse. It doesn't get much slower than this. Is it worth the time that we put into it? You know, I'd say it is. Breezy's gonna come visit. Oh, my camera got funny. There we go. Anyway, Breezy. Let's see, there's Breezy. All right, I'm gonna say goodbye, and thank you all for joining us. Miss Myrna? Miss Myrna's sleeping. Do you guys say goodbye? She's always interesting. Big sigh. All right, have a wonderful day, you guys, and enjoy the moments, whether it takes a long time or a short time.